Hello and welcome to question 2 on the November 2017 paper. Sponsors, there they are. We've got to get them in at every possible moment. And so let's get into it. So this is use plastic waste from the preliminary material. Suggest 2 improvements that could be made to the charts in the preliminary material. So I've only got chart 1 actually. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pause the video and make sure there isn't a chart 2. Just bear with me while I have a little look for that. So the answer to that was yes, there was a chart too. So you should be able to see that in front of you. Um, I'm just going to I'm going to have a look at it. I'm going to tell you, and then I'll go through the mark scheme. So first of all, I don't like chart 1 in that there's no grid lines. So I'd like to see grid lines on this. Um, the axes here needs also labeling. All of these are probably too close together, so we could scale it differently. So we could just have it going because everybody's above 20% and everybody's below 80, so we can stretch that a little bit and make it more zoomable. When we look at chart 2, again, grid lines would help. Grid lines is actually a really good one to have some grid lines going across. Perhaps having some actual values written on here would be good. Again, the labeling of the axes, labeling is poor, almost as poor as my handwriting, which is just not very good at the moment. Okay, so here we go. This is the mark scheme. So it says add extra values to the scale, e.g. every 10% to chart 1. So yeah, making it like that, that would be good. Or add 1.0 to chart 2. I don't really know what that would achieve, but by putting it there. Move the million tons label from the title to the vertical axes, which is here. That could then go into this position here. Label the axes. I mean, that's a good one to have. That's quite a generic answer, which works. Show the actual numbers on the chart. So I've mentioned that, putting the values on, especially in this one here, it's hard to read. Use a grid so values can be read accurately fine. Explain what EU28 is, so that value there. And then move the add or add a y-axis on the left-hand side. So this here should actually be into that position, which is really important just for the consistency there. Okay, question 2b. Let me scroll up. Readers of the extract from the briefing paper commented that it was difficult to follow in places. Give 3 reasons why they might have said this. So this will come from having a look at the preliminary material before you go sort of into your exam and knowing your work. And what I want to say, I think like looking at the structure of it's just there's a lot of data and there's a lot of data inside a lot of words. And what some of these things, they could have just been expressed in a table. I'll go through what the mark scheme is giving you. Apologies for my dog making a lot of noise in the background, but he's just had a very exciting walk. So there's no key for abbreviation for WWF or for EU, although we know that the European Union is EU. WWF is like the world, I don't know actually, maybe the Worldwide Federation, but it's something that's not explained within the text, and therefore you're not really sure exactly what it means. The years used for comparison will vary each time as well. So we have sort of an up to 2010 to 2014, and then we're talking about 2030. We're going back to 2014. There's more data on 2012 to 2016. So actually the comparisons between those years aren't very good. Some data is not shown or is missing. So for example, other exports to countries aren't in there. We've got the latest estimates available are several years before the publication of the briefing paper, and also may be out of date or no longer representative, so that's not much good. The different streams make it difficult to understand the full picture, especially across the official and WWF figures. We've got the term waste stream is not defined, so we don't actually know what that is. So I'm sure some of you may have looked that up before going sort of into the exam. And then it says Sweden and Netherlands are not larger than the UK in terms of population. Netherlands isn't larger than the UK in terms of area either, which is quite an interesting point to make. So if you know your geography, you can certainly raise that. And then finally, it says they do not list all the different types of treatment. It just says etc. So that's kind of a explanation there for part B. And all these reasons, you just get 1 mark per reason. So make sure that you're writing them clearly into that area. Okay, part C. Okay, part C. The following statements were made about the data on 2 online forums. the amount of plastic waste going into landfill fell by more than 60% from 2012 to 2016. And then UK production of plastic waste in 2016 had increased by about 0.3 million tonnes since 2010. So use the data given to comment on the validity of these statements. So it's 6 marks. Effectively, we just do the maths and we try to see whether these are right or not. And it actually reminds me of question 1 just a little bit. So I'm going to pause the video so that I can have a look through all this data, find the information, and then we'll go through it. Right, we found that data. So the amount of plastic waste going into landfill fell by more than 60% from 2012 to 2016. So it's the yellow highlighted part here, and we've got these numbers. I'm going to write these numbers in my calculator first. So 122400 and 53400. Okay, so it's 2012 and it's 2016. It's just so many numbers all over the place. If this was in a table, it would be so much better. In fact, since 20, oh no, we've got the right thing. So first of all, it was 1, 2, I'm writing with a highlighter. That's funny. That's so funny. 122400. And then we're going to take away 53400. That's going to tell us what the drop was. 53400. So that has dropped by 69,000. And then if we do 69,000 divided by the original amount, that's going to tell us what that percentage drop was. So it's only 56.4%. So this statement is not supported by the data as it is less than 60%. Okay, happy with that. Now then, looking at the other one, green users, we've got talk about the production of the plastic waste. And I think I've highlighted that in blue. So if we just move up to here, in that year, an estimated 1.53 million tonnes, 1.53 million tonnes. I might just do the working here now because we can see the words were reported. This was up by 24% since 2010. So there was a value in 2010 and it was increased by 1.24 and it made it to 1.53 million. So if we just do this division, we can find out what it was originally. So 1.53 divided by 1.24 gives us 1.23387. Now the next job is to do the subtraction. 1.53 take away 1.23387, and that gives us 0.29613. Now if I round that to one decimal place, we get the 0.3, which is what they said, so it's about that, so the data supports this. So you're getting a mark for both your conclusions, and then your stages of working are also going to earn you marks. It gets up to about 6 marks. So reading through that material is really important. Okay, part D, the bar chart shows information about the exports of plastic waste from the UK in 2018. State 2 errors in the bar chart. So the first one that comes to mind is that there's no labelling on the y-axis, which is a big error. One of the bars is incorrect, so they're telling me that Malaysia is incorrect from that mark scheme. That goes up to 18, and I don't know what the units are. I wonder where they've got that data from. Up here, look, it's in here. So Malaysia is actually 17%. So these bits of data that put into that bar chart, one of them's not right. Shocker. Sack them. There's no title for the graph, so it's lacking a title. It's not showing all other countries to make it up to 100%. I'm not actually that bothered by that because maybe they just want to focus on four of these, but that is what it is. The y-axis says amount rather than percentage. That's really important. So these are supposed to be percentages. And then finally, all bars are wrong because the vertical axis states amount. So you can sort of reword that. But I reckon if you say that one and then you say the one about replacing amount with percentage, I'm not sure you'll get both marks. So try to make your two responses unique. As you just seen from me scrolling down there, we've got question 3 next, which means this video is over and we've done question 1 and 2. Please join us again for question 3 on your selected paper. All the best for your exams, and I'll see you next time.